My cheating wife wanted an open marriage as a reward for surviving cancer, but a couple of weeks ago, my wife sat me down and told me she had something on her chest. I asked her what was wrong, and she said that surviving cancer last year had completely changed how she saw life. She said life was too short and that she wanted to experience more. I thought I knew what she meant. She'd always dreamed of traveling, but we never had the money. So I took her hand and told her we could make it happen. I'd find a second job, save every extra dollar I could, and we'd travel the world together. She smiled, but then said, "That's really sweet, honey, but that's not what I meant." What she really wanted, she said, was to sleep with other men while staying married to me. I froze. It felt like the ground disappeared beneath me. After a minute of silence, I told her I couldn't do that. I couldn't stay with her if she was going to be with other men. The betrayal would be too much. She looked disappointed and told me I was holding her back from living fully after what she'd been through. I tried to be supportive. I suggested she take up new hobbies, new interests, anything that would help her feel alive. She agreed, but reluctantly. That's when her behavior started to change. She began coming home from work later than usual. She said it was for work projects or happy hours with co-workers. I didn't think much of it until one night she came home wearing an elegant red dress. It was not what she'd worn to work that morning. Her makeup was perfect, her hair done up. She looked radiant and happy. I asked her about the outfit change, and she said there was a company event after hours to boost morale. I asked where it was and why she hadn't mentioned it before. She answered only one question, saying spouses weren't invited because the food was on the company's dime. I let it go. She went upstairs to get ready for bed. After that, I noticed her makeup routine changed. She started wearing it daily, something Mia never did, unless it was a special occasion. She also began dressing more stylishly, even when just running errands. And the expensive perfume I gave her for our anniversary. She wore that now, but not on our dates. In fact, our dates practically stopped happening. She always had an excuse, too tired, too busy. But then she'd leave the house anyway, saying she needed some time alone. I didn't want to accuse her of anything. I told myself this was what she meant by feeling alive, taking care of herself, doing things that made her happy. Who was I to stop her? But she kept bringing up other men. She told me about guys hitting on her at the grocery store. She'd talk about how smart and charming one of her co-workers was. Even during game nights with my friends, she'd mention how attractive or funny one of them was. I started to feel sick about it. But I told myself not to take it personally. After all, she'd almost died. I didn't want to take away her joy. Still, I couldn't ignore the nagging feeling in my gut. So one night I made her dinner and gently brought it up. I told her I'd noticed the changes. Her outfits, her behavior, her comments about other men. I said I was feeling insecure and didn't want to accuse her of anything, but I needed to understand what was happening. She didn't take it well. She said I was being controlling, that I didn't understand what it was like to come so close to death, that she was simply enjoying life. I apologized, said I was just worried, and told her I wanted the best for her. That night, I lay awake feeling awful. Maybe I was being too hard on her. Maybe she was just trying to enjoy life, and I was the one holding her back. But another part of me wondered, why did she only light up when talking about other men? The next few weeks were worse. She came home late almost every night. We barely spoke. I'd get a "how was your day?" or a "can you grab milk on your way home?" nothing more. Then she started going on weekend trips. She said they were with friends or for work. I asked if I could come once, and she looked genuinely offended. She said I didn't trust her. After that, I stopped asking and just told her to be safe. Then one evening, she came home, and for the first time in a while, she started a conversation. She asked if we could talk. Then she dropped another bomb. She wanted to open our marriage. She said it would make us both happier, that we'd set ground rules and wouldn't have to worry about jealousy. My heart broke all over again. It felt like the same request she'd made weeks before, just with a new label. I looked at her, desperate to understand. I still didn't want anyone but her. I didn't want to sleep around. But she looked desperate for my approval. She started crying. She said surviving cancer had made her crave more. She'd lost years of her life to pain and hospitals. Now she wanted freedom. I didn't understand what had triggered this. But I wanted to make her happy. I really did. So I agreed. Those next weeks were some of the worst of my life. Every time she mentioned a man at work, at the gym, or in the neighborhood, a voice in my head told me she'd slept with him. I stopped hosting game nights. Not because I didn't trust them, but because I didn't trust what Mia might do or what she might already have done. Every time I saw her smiling at someone else, I imagined her in bed with them. One of my old high school friends, Chad, noticed something was wrong. He called and asked if I was okay. I lied and said a relative died. I couldn't bring myself to admit the truth that my wife and I had opened our marriage, and it was killing me. Mia started staying out overnight. Some nights, she didn't come home at all. When I called, she wouldn't answer. Her phone was almost always on Do Not Disturb. I couldn't sleep. I was constantly anxious, constantly wondering. I knew I couldn't live like this forever. After 2 months, I finally decided to speak up. Mia had been gone for 3 days. When she got home, I told her I couldn't do this anymore. I couldn't be in an open marriage. I was falling apart. For the first time in a while, I saw a glimpse of sincerity in her eyes. She apologized. She said she hated seeing me suffer and agreed to close the marriage again. She said that phase was over. We hugged. We even reconnected that night. For a little while, it felt like things were finally back to normal. She stopped going out late. She stayed home. She still dressed well and wore makeup, but I didn't care. I was just glad she was with me again. Until one night when she joked about opening the marriage again. At first I laughed. But a few weeks later she brought it up again more seriously. She said she missed that time, that it made her feel alive, like she was on a high. She said being with me was great. But it didn't compare to the excitement she had with other men. I felt crushed all over again. I told her I couldn't do that, not again, not for the sake of my sanity. Later that night, I got up to get a glass of water. Her phone was on the kitchen counter. I did something I'm not proud of. I picked it up and opened it. Her phone was unlocked. My hands were shaking. I wasn't the kind of person who snoops, but something inside me told me I needed to see it. I had to know if Mia was really committed to our marriage, or if I was being played again. I opened her messages. The most recent one was from someone named Big Chatty. He'd written, "Good night, beautiful. I love you." I froze. My stomach dropped. My vision blurred. I felt the room start to spin around me. I scrolled up through their conversation. The messages weren't casual. They were deep, emotional, intimate. He told her to leave her husband, said they could build a life together. She responded that she wanted all of that and more, but that things were complicated. They talked about future trips, about how much they missed each other. He said he wanted to see her more often than just on weekend getaways. That's when it hit me, those work trips she had taken. She'd been with him. I kept scrolling. There were photos of money transfers. He was sending her cash for hair, nails, clothes. That's where all the new outfits came from. I kept going, and then I saw it. A message from months ago, before she ever asked me about an open marriage. If I beat this, she'd written, "You have to take me to the Maldives." LOL. They'd been talking long before she finished treatment. Long before she sat me down and made it seem like her feelings for other men were something new. She'd already been emotionally and physically involved with this man. That sadness, the deep, sick kind you feel in your chest, turned to rage. I needed to know who Big Chatty was. I checked the number. It had a local area code. Something about it felt familiar. I grabbed my phone, pulled up my contacts, and searched the number. It was Chad, my best friend since high school. I felt something break inside me. The next morning, I woke Mia up. Her phone was in my hand. She blinked and asked what I was doing. I didn't answer. I just opened the conversation with Chad and held it up to her face. She looked at the screen and froze. The panic hit her instantly. She tried to explain, said it didn't mean anything. That's why she hadn't left me, because she still loved me, because she wanted me as her husband. She said the open marriage wasn't about cheating, it was about her trauma, her cancer, her need to feel alive. But I wasn't hearing it anymore. I told her that surviving cancer didn't turn her into a liar. It didn't excuse 2 months of betrayal, followed by more lies. She dropped to her knees and started crying, begging. She said she didn't want to lose me, that Chad meant nothing, that I was her home, her safety, but it was too late. I told her I couldn't stay with someone who had manipulated and betrayed me at every turn. She and Chad had both broken something I couldn't repair. I packed my things slowly while she sat at the door crying. She watched me pleading with her eyes, but I didn't say another word. I couldn't. As I stepped outside with my bag in hand, I turned back for one last look. She was still standing there, shaking and sobbing. That image will probably never leave me, but I kept walking. I got in the car, started the engine, and drove. The further I got from our home, the more the weight lifted. Somewhere during that drive, I realized something I hadn't let myself admit before my instincts had been right all along. Every gut feeling, every sleepless night, every time I doubted her and then blamed myself for it, I was right. She had been gaslighting me for months. All the emotional strain, the constant second-guessing, the humiliation I felt in my own house. I finally understood how deeply it had worn me down. In a twisted way, I felt relief. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. I had just trusted someone who didn't deserve that trust anymore. It's been a few weeks now. I've gone no contact with Mia. Chad hasn't reached out either, and I wouldn't respond even if he did. I'm staying with family for now and focusing on rebuilding my life. Every day feels a little more stable than the last. I've started therapy to deal with the betrayal and to find myself again after so much emotional damage. I've realized that love, real love, doesn't make you question your worth. It doesn't make you beg for attention or sacrifice your dignity to hold on to someone. I gave Mia everything I had. And when she asked me for more, I gave her that too, even when it broke me. But now I know better. I deserve loyalty, respect, peace. I'm not angry anymore, just free. And finally, that's enough. Thank you for listening to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, leave a comment below to share your thoughts on what happened. Take care.